My brother demanded I pay him rent for living in the house I inherited. His greed cost him the $800,000 he actually inherited. The text came 3 days after Dad's funeral. My brother Kevin wanted his monthly compensation for my occupation of shared family property. $5,000, due the first of each month, starting immediately. I'd inherited Dad's house, just me, not split, not shared, mine entirely, according to the will everyone had heard read aloud. Kevin got the investment portfolio, worth twice the house. My sister Emma got the business, but Kevin decided the house was somehow still partly his. His logic was breathtaking. Since Dad had raised us all in that house, we all had emotional equity. Since Kevin had mowed the lawn as a teenager, he'd invested sweat equity. Since he'd assumed he'd inherit it, despite never discussing this with Dad, he had expectation equity. Therefore, I owed him rent for denying him access to his rightful property. He'd drawn up an actual contract, 20 pages, professionally formatted, citations to property law he'd misunderstood from Google, had it notarized, sent copies to Emma and our aunts, trying to build family pressure, calculated the rent based on market rates for denial of ancestral property access. Kevin had received $800,000 in stocks and bonds, tax-free trust distributions, more money than most people see in a lifetime. But the house, worth maybe $300,000 in our Rust Belt town, that's what he fixated on. He started showing up daily, not entering, just standing at the property line with a clipboard, taking notes, documenting my illegal occupancy, photographing me through windows, measuring things with a surveyor's wheel he bought on Amazon. The neighbors called the cops twice. Kevin showed them his birth certificate, proving he'd once lived there. The cops told him to stop trespassing. He said they were violating his hereditary rights. Then came the liens. Kevin filed fraudulent claims against the property. Said Dad owed him hundreds of thousands in unpaid wages for childhood chores. Said I'd verbally agreed to split ownership. Said there was a secret codicil to the will. Each lien took time and money to fight. Each one he filed from a different angle, learning from his mistakes. The situation escalated when Kevin hired a moving truck and arrived with furniture. Claimed he was moving into his portion of the house. Had a crew ready to break down the door. I was at work. My neighbor, Mrs. Chen, 80 years old and fierce, stood on the porch with her shotgun until the police arrived. Kevin told them she was a tenant I'd hired to illegally bar him from his property. He sued me 6 times in 18 months. Lost every case but cost me $30,000 in legal fees. Each lawsuit claimed something new. Emotional damages, lost childhood memories, breach of imaginary contracts. One claimed I'd murdered Dad to steal the house, despite Dad dying of documented heart failure at the hospital with Kevin present. Emma tried staying neutral until Kevin demanded she pay him dividends from the business she'd inherited. Said if inherited assets were shared, profits should be too. When she refused, he reported the business to the IRS for fictional tax fraud. The audit cost her a year of her life and $20,000 in accountant fees. Found nothing because there was nothing to find. Kevin's wife left him during lawsuit number 4, took their kids, said he'd become obsessed, spent their savings on lawyers, talked about nothing but the house. He blamed me for the divorce, added it to lawsuit number 5 as damages I'd caused by stealing his children's ancestral home. The breaking point came when Kevin tried to sell the house, actually listed it on Zillow, posted photos from Google Earth, scheduled showings. A young couple showed up on my doorstep, confused when I explained I wasn't moving. Kevin had taken a deposit, $5,000, told them I was a squatter being evicted. That was wire fraud, federal crime. The FBI got interested when they found he'd done it 3 more times with different couples, $20,000 in deposits for a house he didn't own. Kevin's trial was last month. His defense was insane. Claimed he genuinely believed he owned the house through birthright precedents, brought genealogy charts, cited medieval property laws, compared himself to displaced royalty. The judge looked exhausted by day 3. 5 years of federal prison, no parole for 2. The investment portfolio Dad left him was liquidated for restitution to the couples he defrauded and the legal fees he caused me and Emma, $800,000, gone. I visited him once. He spent the entire hour explaining how I'd stolen his life, how the house was the key to everything, how Dad had hidden millions in the walls and I was keeping it from him, how the real will was buried in the backyard under the apple tree. There is no apple tree. There never was. Last week, he sent a letter saying he's hired a prison lawyer to sue me for visiting rights to the house when he gets out. Wants a room kept ready for him. Says it's his constitutional right as a natural-born heir. Emma and I are selling the house. Split the proceeds, donate them to charity. Let Kevin sue an empty lot if he wants. The new owners move in next month. Young family, 2 kids. They asked about the surveillance cameras Mrs. Chen mentioned. I said we'd had some issues with trespassers. Didn't mention the trespasser was my brother. Didn't mention he gets out in 4 years. I did give them my lawyer's card though, just in case.